This episode is brought to you by Temptations Cat Treats. Your cat will come running for the perfectly irresistible Temptations Creamy Puree and Temptations Lickable Spoon Cat Treats. The best time to feed lickable cat treats to your cat is anytime. Feed by hand for a playful moment, in a bowl for a creamy treat, or as a topper to make mealtime fun. Visit temptationstreats.com to learn more.
Parents of tweens, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
Hey, where you been? Buckeye Talk is about to begin. Hey, come on in.
Welcome back to Buckeye Talk. I'm Stephen Means, and that's Andrew Gillis, and we've got a special guest with us joining us today, Ohio State 2027 quarterback commit Brady Edmunds, fresh off of, 5 days you were in Columbus?
Just about, yep, just about.
Thanks for joining us. Why that much time? Obviously, and I think when you were here, you were talking with media members about how the differences between you and Tavy and how you guys might handle this. So getting to spend 5 days here in the summer, why did you decide to do that? And what was the value you got out of being here that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously being a California kid, going to a school that's in Ohio, obviously you can't be out there every weekend. Like I said, like Tavian obviously is a prime example of that. So my family, that was my first time. My sister was out there. My sister and my brother was out there as well. So we just wanted to really take advantage of the opportunity. So if we were going to be out there, we found that 3-day camps kind of similar in a row, close enough. So we just stayed out for those 3 days. And yeah, it was a great time. I mean, I was kind of, especially like mechanic wise and everything like that, I was working really, really closely with, Coach Fessler, Coach Day, especially as well. So, we were really focused on getting better. It wasn't like I was just out there throwing with the guys and recruiting and stuff like that. It was also just a good time to get better as well.
So, you mentioned kind of getting more acclimated with Columbus and being out here a little bit more. How much more comfortable do you feel now being back in Ohio State, being back in Columbus, working with coaches, working with Coach Fessler and Coach Day, like you mentioned, than maybe you did, back in even December when you committed?
Yeah, it's like night and day, I'd say, just because in the recruiting scheme, you kind of almost have to put a face on. Like you can't, you can't get super comfortable with everybody. Like you're still trying to pitch yourself, So obviously once I committed, now it's more of a family aspect. When I was there in the spring, I definitely saw a difference. And then now, especially as well, like this past visit, I was more with the players, I was hanging out with guys like that. So, just definitely more of a family aspect.
I want to go back to your commitment because your decision and that announcement was a pretty bright moment in an otherwise pretty dark time for Ohio State. I think it was, 2 days after that game?
Just about, yeah.
I'm sure that it had been building up for a while, that commitment. And there's a world that exists where if Ohio State wins that game, it's like, oh, Ohio State just smacked Michigan around, and now they just added a 5-star quarterback. What a heck of a 4-day window there. But it didn't necessarily go that way. Just take me back through you and your family as that's happening. Walk us through November 30th to December 2nd. And the decision and making that decision around that time when I'm sure you knew that once you made that decision, it almost gave the fan base something to hope on to.
Yeah, well, I mean, you said it starts November 30th. To be honest with you, I think it starts June 6th when I got the offer. So that summer, we kind of planned to throw a big net out there. Like I kind of had some decent offers in, nothing huge. So I think we started off with like the 2 mega camps in Dallas, and then we were at Texas, and then Ohio State, Team Up North, and Penn State, and we were supposed to go to like Oklahoma after that, TCU, like a bunch of big other schools. And once I got Ohio State, like I kind of knew in my head right when I got that offer, I knew this was where I was going to be. So going through the whole entire season, it was kind of an argument, like every single time with my parents. It was like, I wanted to commit. And they're like, no, just wait it out till season, wait it out till after season. So finally, I think we had just finished up our season, like beginning of November or something like that. We go on Thanksgiving break, and then I'm in So actually, we went to Utah first. There was like a family vacation over Thanksgiving. And I actually, this is a funny story too. So I actually got really, really sick when I was in Utah. Like, I couldn't stand up. I was like, it was bad. So we almost canceled the trip to the team up north game as well. So that would have been a whole different story. Who knows how that would have gone down? But
Yeah.
so yeah, we get up there, everything's great, obviously, and then I mean, like everybody's saying, they lose. So now you're thinking, like, okay, what the heck do I do now? And in my head, I still wanted to commit. And then the social media aspect, you kind of see that, like, okay, is Coach Day even going to be there when I'm there now? Because you don't even know what's going to happen. You know, my dad especially, I don't even know if he wanted, like, he kind of wanted me to wait it out too, because I am obviously not even the aspect of him getting fired or anything, but like me just committing, I was committing super early.
Yeah.
Not many guys were committed, probably 2 or 3 guys were committed, if that, at that time. So, you know, it was different. And then yeah, so actually lead up to now when I'm about to commit. So we're at a restaurant the Sunday after the game we were there, and then Monday it was the start of the dead period. So we were supposed to go in the facilities, and they call us that morning. They're like, by the way, we just found out it's the dead period, so you can't come in. We're like, okay, shoot. But he's like, because I haven't met with Coach Day that trip yet, so I was like, they said Coach Day will call you later on. I was like, okay, sounds good. So we go to, I believe it was like Arch City Tavern or something like that. If that sounds familiar, either one of you guys. But that's where we ate. So we're sitting down there. There's a table next to us. Restaurants can pretty much empty. Table next to us here, table next to us here. They're just talking. Like the waiter walks up to the table of next to us and they're like, "Has Coach Day gotten fired yet?" And we're like, "Holy crap!" And as I was waiting to commit, literally, we were sitting there waiting for a phone call. There was like no connection in the place, so I think I missed the first phone call. So we walk outside. I'm on the phone with Coach Kelly, and then it's like, "Do you have anything? You know, do you have anything to tell us?" I think they kind of knew it was going to happen too, and I was like, "Yeah, you know, I'm ready to commit." And I was like, "All right," and then fast forward like 5 minutes later, I'm on the phone with Coach Day now and I tell him. But yeah, it was pretty, you know, it was kind of a whirlwind. Like I was texting other people, my coaches, my close people I have a pretty close knit circle. So like my people that are in my circle, what do you think I should do? What is my opinion on this? Like, do you think it's a bad look to commit right now? What, obviously I want to be there, but you know, ultimately, like, to be honest with you, I think I was almost being told not to commit over being told to commit.
Yeah.
But just my personal goals, everything that I've been through in my life, I felt like, you know, it was time.
You're a quarterback, so there's an element of, as you get older, you know, NFL, college, where that type of craziness just comes with what you do.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it almost seems like your kind of initiation of what it's like to be Ohio State starting quarterback.
Definitely.
In a way of, I'm sitting in a restaurant with my father and they're going, "Hey, has my head coach been fired yet?"
Yeah.
And you looked at all of that craziness and you're saying there's probably people around you going, "Hey, probably not right now. Let's see when things calm down."
Yeah.
And you're like, "No, I want part of that." What about Ohio State? I know you've got some family ties to Ohio and some fanhood there, but now that you're having a chance to be an Ohio State football player, what about that program? What about that craziness makes you want to step into it versus step back, if that makes sense?
Yeah. I mean, you know, I've really kind of feel like, you know, I like the attention almost. Like I like being held at a high, you know, standard and stuff like that. So it is the biggest brand in college football, if not in football in general. I mean, your highs are really high and your lows are really low, and you just got to take it with it. But ultimately, like you said, with the family ties and everything like that, I just don't think there's not a better opportunity out there besides Ohio State for me.
You mentioned, you know, the family ties. I do want to touch on that for some of the, you know, listeners and viewers. They probably know some of this story. For some people, they might not. So I would love for you to just kind of describe growing up an Ohio State fan, because you said, you know, it kind of started June 6th. It started a little bit earlier than that.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I think you told me one time, maybe it was when you had that camp in Canton up in Massillon, and you said, you know, I'm one of you guys to the fans, basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like kind of growing up an Ohio State fan, and what do you kind of have memories of kind of growing up in that bubble and rooting for the Buckeyes?
Yeah, I mean, especially, so my grandpa was a real extreme, you know, Bucknut and everything like that. So he's from Cuyahoga Falls, I believe that's how you pronounce it. So to be honest with you, I don't know where that is, but he was a big Ohio State fan growing up. So then he moved to somewhere in Massachusetts. So we're also big Patriots fans, you know, Red Sox fans, everything like that, hence my name. So then he moved to Southern California, and my dad always, like, I mean, obviously my dad doesn't do it anymore because everything's online, but my grandpa, every week he would get like the printed copy paper of the Bucknuts and everything like that. Actually, he still drops them off every single time my name is mentioned. He drops them off at my house as well. So everything like that. My dad always said, like, whenever they would lose on a Saturday, anything like that, the house was silent. You're doing chores outside. It's not just, you know, it's not just for show. Like, we really are like big Ohio State fans, obviously. So, and then I remember I think it was the 2016 or 2017 national championship, or 2015 maybe. The one where Zeke and JT Barrett and all them. I remember being at the Dave and Buster's in Irvine because there was a big like Ohio State thing there, and that's where we have a bunch of pictures at as well. My whole entire family, like, it's real.
At the risk of maybe making myself feel old, do you have a favorite Ohio State quarterback that you've watched in, your time growing up with Ohio State?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, probably just like CJ Stroud, just because I feel like I relate to that game the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, not someone super far back.
No, it's fine. It's fine. No, it's
No,
fine.
that's perfect, actually.
It's recent. When you were here, I think you were at 3 camps. I think there was a portion of one of the camps where like Coach Day pulled you aside and you guys were working through some things. I guess when you leave those camps, because I'm sure the reputation of Ohio State's quarterbacks kind of precedes itself right now, right? Obviously, CJ, Justin Dwayne being first-round draft picks, Will Howard winning a national championship, all that is, we know that, but you had an opportunity to see why that reputation exists. Was there something from those conversations with Coach Day or even Billy Fessler that was like, oh, okay, that's why these guys were so good. This is why it works the way it works here versus just knowing that it's good, getting the inside scoop on why these quarterbacks have been so good over the years.
Yeah, I mean, Ohio State, I would say, in my opinion, has had the best quarterbacks in the country over the past years. So not only if you have the best quarterbacks in the country, you got the best quarterback coach in the country. And not only that, you got with Coach Day there, you pretty much have 2 quarterback coaches there. So I mean, you're always getting coached. There's never a off rep, never an off moment to where you're no one's watching or anything like that. Like you are held at a really, really high standard. And, obviously I saw that a lot of the things that Coach Day was talking about with me is stuff I've been working on, back home with my quarterback coaches. Right after, he's talking to me about stuff, I go text my quarterback coaches, this is what we're working on, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
I was throwing just Wednesday, actually with some NFL guys too, like Tyler Huntley was there, Mason Rudolph, a couple other guys, but working on the same exact stuff that Coach Day was working me on, so kind of a big focus this summer as well.
What about that group of Ohio State quarterbacks? You mentioned, the best that they've had in the last couple of years.
Yep.
What about that competition draws you to Ohio State? Because you look, it's a 4-star in 2024 with Julian Sand. It's a 5-star in 2020 for Tavian St. Clair. They don't have a 26 kid yet. They brought in a lot of 27 kids to work out. Obviously, they're probably going to go as, get the best quarterback they can in 2028. What about that competition do you feel comfortable with coming to Ohio State, and what draws you to that amount of competition? Because it's easy for a lot of kids to say, I don't want a part of that. I'm going to go to a place where maybe I can play sooner, or a place where I don't have to deal with that level of competition.
Yeah, nothing to knock on those kids. Like, obviously if you want to, what you think is playing sooner is your thing, then go ahead. Personally, I feel like I'm my best when I'm being pushed. So whether that's getting pushed by Julian I don't know if he's still going to be there when I'm there, but if that's Julian or Tavian or the 2028 or 2026, or if they bring in another 2027, it is what it is at the end of the day. I just know I want to play there. So, I mean, obviously transfer portal and everything like that. So who knows how things work out, what that quarterback room's going to look like when I'm there. But I mean, competing is a big aspect of how you get better. So there's no way around it. And eventually in life, you're going to have to compete. And whether it's in high school, whether it's in college, I didn't have to compete really in high school, but obviously I'm going to have to compete in college. So it is what it is.
I'm assuming that unless something goes crazy left over the next couple of years here, next December, you're signing with Ohio State. This is pretty much a done deal for you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So this is now boring, right? The recruiting process is just kind of over. I'm sure your phone has still not stopped blowing up because you're still a year from this being done with, but kind of map out what the next 18 months look like until you get to Ohio State and start that journey, and things you want to get better at, places you want to maybe be a little bit more prominent in. I know you did some stuff in Columbus while you were here with the Children's Hospital and whatnot. Yeah. I know you've been pretty vocal on social media and trying to build the 2027 recruiting class. What's the next 18 months for Brady Edmunds look like in a world where, unless something crazy goes wrong, you're going to be an Ohio State Buckeye?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, obviously I want to keep putting seeds in the Columbus community and stuff like that with the Children's Hospital, maybe expand that to other ventures as well. But I mean, really, I think the biggest thing is building the recruiting class and then getting better as myself, getting better as a quarterback, getting better as a person, everything like that. Because if I just stay constant like this, by the time I get to Ohio State, I won't be any better. So I just need to keep on taking that, that level up. So when I get there, everything's just easier.
So I'm curious too, you mentioned the recruiting aspect of this. You have to be a recruiter now.
Yeah.
So I have a two-part question. The first part is, how good of a recruiter are you, Brady Edmunds, the Ohio State recruit?
Well, to be honest with you, I think I'm a good recruiter because I know the Ohio State programs. There's
Sure, right.
not much to. I mean, once you know the Ohio State program, that's why I committed. There's nothing else to it. Like it's not a huge pitch. It kind of speaks for itself.
So I saw, you when you were out here for some of those camps, you got to throw with Jameer Brown a little bit.
Yep.
There's obviously just a remarkable amount of receiver talent. What is it like kind of getting to throw with those guys, the players that, like Jameer that, you're going to play with at Ohio State, some players that maybe could join the class? And how much do you try to lay it on with those guys of just, hey, this is what we're building here. I would love to throw to you someday in Columbus.
No, definitely. I mean, luckily with Jameer, I think, he's probably just as locked in, if not more locked in than me. So I think that's that's a really good thing is you got 2 4 or 5-star receiver and quarterback that are kind of just the base layer of your program that aren't going anywhere. So that's a big part. And then, building the guys, like, obviously I think I'd say in the next 6 months, we'll probably get a few more guys, but I mean, like I said, it's not really a huge pitch. Like there's top tier receivers coming in and year out for a reason. It's not like we're going to have an off year or anything like that. So I'm not, I think we'll be pretty set.
Kind of a weird question. This is my last one. What's the one thing you're going to miss about the recruiting process? And the one thing you're very happy you don't have to deal with anymore?
No, that's actually a great question because, it is, for me, like everything picked up really, really sudden. So I had in January after my freshman year, or I finished my freshman season with like 3 or 4 offers or something like that. And then in January, I got UNLV. So that made it 4 or 5. And I was just like, I was almost pissed off because I thought I had a great season. Like I broke all these records, did everything like that. And I didn't, because I thought everything would come in January in that first recruiting period and nothing came. So I was like, all right, what the heck? So I kind of, put my head down, kept on working. January, February, and March were a crazy schedule because I was playing basketball as well at the time. So I was still trying to get in football. So I was a lot of early mornings. I was up at like 4:45 every single morning, get 2 workouts in before school, basketball practice on top of that, workout after that. Like it was a crazy time. I just put my head down and kind of stuck to it. And then that spring recruiting period opened up and I got Florida State and then I got a couple more. And then it was like I got an offer every single day. And then like I had decently big offers, nothing crazy, like a couple SEC, like small, like Arkansas and like Oregon and stuff like that. And then I went on the camping circuit. I went to like the SMU camp and got like 3 little offers. And then I got like the big ones, like Ohio State, Team Up North, everything like that. So everything took off within a month span for me pretty much. So it was kind of like surreal. So going through the football season, I would say it was definitely hard because once I got Ohio State, I knew that was where I wanted to be. So then I'm talking to these other schools like, oh, hey coach, like what's up? But it was just, I don't know. It was just hard kind of because I knew that was where I wanted to be, but I wasn't announcing it yet or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I would say definitely the hard part is kind of, having to talk to a lot of schools, maybe some that you aren't interested in, but you kind of have to still, because you never know what's going to happen. So you kind of have to still, keep those ties. Yeah, that's probably what I would not miss is trying to keep in contact with all those coaches. And one thing I would miss, it is pretty cool to, meet all these people and everything like that and definitely go on the visits, I would say.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm locked in, so I'm not going to go on any visits as of now.
Sure.
But, I mean, seeing the cool places you haven't been to, different cultures and stuff like that, it is pretty cool.
Brady, you've got, you were talking about the recruiting process and what you're going to miss, but obviously this all ends with something very exciting and coming down to Columbus. So I know the tentative plan for you is to come out for that Texas game.
Yep.
Because again, the noon kickoffs, big deal. Fortunately,
Yep.
You play that Thursday game.
Yeah, that's the nice part. Yeah, so we actually have 3 Thursday games this year. So we're going to figure out. Okay. It's probably at least the Texas game that we're at.
Got it. So you're going to be out here for that. I'm sure. You mentioned you did great work with Nationwide Children's Hospital. Obviously,
yes,
you're starting to kind of expand your roots in Columbus. What are you most looking forward to about getting to Columbus? I don't want to rush you out of high school yet, but what are you most looking forward to about when you are finally able to sign on the dotted line and say, I am an Ohio State Buckeye?
I mean, everything pretty much. I mean, I just want to be like pretty much what you said. I just want to be an Ohio State Buckeye officially. Like I want to be, I kind of like working out and everything like that is earning money lifts. I feel like that's what, that's what makes you kind of, and that what makes the program. So that's what I just can't wait to be a part of it, really.
When's the last time you said the word Michigan? On the record, because obviously how people talk away from a microphone is a little different. When's the last time you said the word Michigan?
I think I've been pretty solid. It's definitely been months.
Months is good.
Months.
Yeah, months. I know for a fact that everybody watching and listening to this went, oh, he says Team Up North. He's got it. He knows what he knows. Yeah, he's got it. He doesn't even say the word. We're good. Yeah, so I'm sure they love that you were kind of raised in that environment.
So when we went to the Ohio game, or not Ohio, we went to the Iowa game. That was with my mom and my dad, and in the car way there, we're like, okay, my dad was like, okay, Katrina, you can't. It's not Ohio, or it's not Ohio, it's Ohio State, and you can't say that bad word, and
Right.
you got it's team up north. So
It's like a
yeah,
curse
we
word.
kind of had to give her the baseline of it.
Everybody's learning. And listen, she's got 18 months to develop it, though. It's not like she's got to learn overnight, but it's clear that you have Brady Edmunds, 4-star, borderline 5-star quarterback in the 2027 recruiting class. He was Ohio State's quarterback in that class from Huntington Beach. Thank you for joining us. I'm Stephen Means. That's Brady Edmunds. That's Andrew Gillis. That was Buckeye Talk.
Appreciate you guys.